Welcome back to the channel. In today's video we are moving on to the next episode in my category breakdown series, and in today's video we are taking a look at Best Animated Feature Film. Now if you're new to this series, this video is going to be in a playlist with all of the other episodes in the series, but basically all this is just for the last 3 years, I've taken a look at every single individual category at the upcoming Academy Awards, and we break the category down and we take a look at the films that are nominated in each category. We take a look at the individual artists of the films that were nominated in that category. So for example, in this video we're going to take a look at the directors and the producers of these films. We talk about their Oscar history, previous nominations and stuff like that. And then at the end, after talking about the films for a little bit, at the end I'm going to give you my personal rank 1 through 5 on how I would rank these films. And then I'll also give you my prediction 1 through 5 on how likely it is that I think they win the Academy Award this Sunday, March 15th. Without further ado, let's take a look at the nominees.
Arco.
Directed by Hugo Bienvenu, produced by Felix de Givry, Sophie Maas, and Natalie Portman. This is the first Oscar nomination for all three of Hugo Bienvenu, Felix de Givry, and Sophie Maas. This is Natalie Portman's fourth Oscar nomination. She won for Best Actress in 2011 for Black Swan. She was also nominated for Best Actress in 2017 for Jackie, and for Best Supporting Actress in 2005 for Closer. Arco was nominated for Best Children's and Family Film at the BAFTAs, and for Best Animated Feature at the Critics' Choice Awards and the Golden Globes. Now, Arco is a very beautiful film to look at, and that's something that I've noticed in this category specifically, is that in animated films that typically, a lot of animated films, they look good, but there was something about a couple of the films in this year's class that is just beautiful, absolutely beautiful to look at. Arco is no different, has a whole lot of kind of vibrant colors. It's a very, it's a feel-good story. It's a story about, essentially kind of youth and about these kids and coming from, kids from a different place and kind of learning and understanding each other and understanding the situation, but also kind of working together to come to a solution to resolve a situation that they're in. Again, don't really want to spoil a whole lot, especially this is just a very beautiful film, so I recommend you check it out. But it's a film that kind of has a lot of kind of these similar themes. But what this film does is it just, again, has a great voice cast, but it also is just told in this way that is very through kind of like the childlike wonder, and it's in a futuristic, it's in the future, but it's I guess there's kind of two sides. There's the future, and then there's also the future beyond the future that it's also being told in. And so the closer future is kind of this, more tangible, we understand, maybe it's a little bit different, but a lot of it is kind of the similar things. And then there's the distant future where you get a couple scenes where, it's not as much recognizable, but it's this kind of familiar situation, this familiar story, but it feels like you're getting this story with these two characters that don't see everything the same way, and it's not it's a fish out of water essentially for Arco, for our character that is kind of traveled back in time a little bit and finds himself in this very mysterious place. It's just it's a beautiful film, and again, there's multiple moments, especially toward the end. It's very touching. It's a very beautiful story. There's a whole lot of that. If you're into those type of films, if you're into a kid's film that has kind of the adventure but then has kind of the touching and beautiful kind of final moments of the film, Arco has pretty much exactly what you're looking for. But again, there is just a whole lot to the film that is, depending on what you go into a film, the humor, there's definitely is the humor, there's the adventure and the emotion. So it's kind of a film that kind of captures a whole lot of different things, all while being absolutely beautiful and just a fun film really to watch. I had a blast with it, and it's one of my favorite in the category. For my personal rank, I'm putting Arco in second, and for my prediction, I'm putting it in fourth.
Elio.
Directed by Madeline Sherifian, Domi Shi, and Adrian Molina, produced by Mary Alice Drum. This is Madeline Sherifian's second Oscar nomination. She was also nominated for Best Animated Short in 2021 for Burrow. This is Domi Shi's third Oscar nomination. She won for Best Animated Short Film in 2019 for Bo. She was also nominated for Best Animated Film in 2023 for Turning Red. This is the first Oscar nomination for Adrian Molina and Mary Alice Drum. Elio was nominated for Best Animated Feature at the BAFTAs, the Critics' Choice Awards, and the Golden Globe Awards. Now, Elio is kind of fascinating to kind of talk about here in the category, in the sense that it always kind of felt like this was in fifth place. It always felt like this was the film that was just kind of hanging in there, and it felt like it was just a matter of time before something kind of took over. And so maybe there is kind of the point of view that some people maybe had, and it was definitely something that I kind of thought of at one point, where it felt like it's eventually something's going to take Elio's place here in the category, and when nothing did, we kind of were like, oh, maybe it's just because it's a weaker animation year. There's not a lot of great animated films. And again, that can be your opinion. You can have that opinion. Or there's the other scenario where it just turns out that Elio actually is a very loved film. And it's one of those that I've seen Elio twice now. And the first time I saw it, I really didn't like it. And the second time I watched it, I didn't necessarily love it a whole lot more. Yeah, I definitely liked it a little bit more, and there were some things, some moments, some character development, some things that happened between certain characters where it worked a little bit better for me on a second watch. So it is a film that is interesting in that sense, where it is, it's something that's just kind of grown on me, and so maybe it is a film that maybe other people, they don't need multiple viewings for it to grow on them, or maybe there are people like me where it's just like if they've watched it more than once, they tend to kind of like it a little bit more. And I talked about, a lot of these films looking beautiful. Elio is one of the films that looks the most, like it's this, the cinematography of the film is very, especially with all of the space scenes, the color that comes from that, like it's a very big focal point that they are absolutely highlighting that. So that is one of the big highlights of the film. Unfortunately for me, the story just doesn't kind of connect all the way there. It is kind of touching at the end. Not going to say exactly what happens or what characters are involved, but a character has been going the entire film trying to accomplish something. They accomplish it at the end and then still kind of choose another choice. They make another choice and decide to kind of go against what their goal for the entire film has been. And that is a touching and a beautiful moment of the film. So I'm not going to sit here and say that the story didn't, it's like garbage all the way through. Like, it's just one of those that for me wasn't as captivating as some of the other films in the category are. And then ultimately at the end, even though it is touching and it is sweet, I just kind of leave thinking like, okay, that was a fine movie. And unfortunately in this category, I guess not unfortunately for Elio, but in this category there's a lot of films that are just better than fine to me. And so I'm not the biggest fan of the film, but I am still kind of glad that it got the nomination, because I do think that there are a lot of people that really do enjoy the film. For my personal rank, I'm putting Elio in 5th, and for my prediction, I'm putting it in 5th.
K-pop Demon Hunters.
Directed by Maggie Kong and Chris Appelens, produced by Michelle L.M. Wong. This is the first Oscar nomination for all three of Maggie Kong, Chris Appelens, and Michelle L.M. Wong. K-pop Demon Hunters won for Best Animated Feature at the Critics' Choice Awards and the Golden Globes. This is definitely the film in the category that you need me to not really talk about at all. You don't need me to sell you on K-pop Demon Hunters, mainly because you've seen K-pop Demon Hunters. I think I was the last person. Once I finally watched it, we're all caught up. We've all seen it now. It's definitely not a film that I need to kind of push you on. It's not a film that I need to really sell you on in terms of its chances of winning the category. There's really only kind of one contender here for it in the film, but even then I don't know if it's going to be much of a contender. K-pop Demon Hunters is kind of the moment. It is the animated film, and I feel like animated film in particular, I guess every now and then there's a couple years where it's not always the case, but I feel like oftentimes this category kind of feels like it's dominated by whatever film is having the moment, so like Encanto, that was a year where that was my 4th or 5th favorite in the category. I liked pretty much every other film above Encanto, but it was the film having the moment and it carried. The only times I can think of is Flow last year, but even then I still think Flow kind of, took over, kind of had its moment. It was definitely kind of becoming more popular as the award ceremony was we reached the award ceremony. And then also when Spider-Verse lost to The Boy and the Heron, that's another one where Spider-Verse was definitely kind of the bigger thing. So maybe that there is kind of a thing there. You can see okay, well, sometimes they kind of go for the more intimate, the smaller budget, the story that is the animated story that is a little bit simpler, maybe in terms of the big scale thing. But every now and then there's the times where it seems pretty obvious that it's the big scale thing. K-pop Demon Hunters feels like it's the big scale thing, the big moment that is just kind of dominating this category. I've said it a couple times in the channel, I'll say it again here, that K-pop Demon Hunters, I don't love it as much as a lot of people do. It's not necessarily my favorite in the category, but it is a film that I can understand. I totally understand why so many people do feel the way that they feel about it. I understand so many people connecting to the film, so many people loving the film. There's so much to love about it, from again the visuals of the film, the music, the characters, just the story in general. It's a very fascinating and fun way of kind of tying a couple different worlds together. It's a film that I get. I 100% I understand that a lot of people really like this film, and so it's one of those that maybe one of these days, maybe after it wins here, maybe I'll go back and I'll rewatch it and try and see if maybe I like it better on a second watch. But the first watch just didn't completely do it for me. But I'm not going to be shocked or upset when it wins on Sunday, which it most likely will. I'm pretty comfortable in kind of predicting that. For my personal rank, I'm putting K-pop Demon Hunters in fourth, and for my prediction, I'm putting it in first.
Little Amelie, or the character of Rain.
Directed by Melis Vlade and Lian Chohan, produced by Nadia Santiago and Henry Magellan. This is the first Oscar nomination for all four of Melis Vlade, Lian Chohan, Nadia Santiago, and Henry Magellan. Little Amelie, or the character of Rain, was nominated for Best Animated Feature at the BAFTAs, the Critics' Choice Awards, and the Golden Globe Awards. Now, animated feature can always kind of be one of those categories that's maybe a little, I'm trying to think of the right word, not necessarily boring, but it's the one that, or predictable, but it's the one that, for me, most years, I've seen maybe 2 or 3 of the films before the nominations come out. And there's a couple that I haven't seen, or maybe I haven't even really heard of, and I just am not looking forward to it. And I watch them, and maybe they're fine or they're whatever, but it's just not something that always speaks to me. It's very rare that I find a film like Little Amelie or the character of Rain that I don't know a whole ton about other than just the name of the film, and I come away just with my breath taken away. I absolutely love this film. This is a film for me that it is kind of unfair that I didn't see this before I did my top 25, technically my top 10 of 2025. I don't know exactly where this pencils in, but this is a top 10 film of the year for me. It is so beautiful. It is breathtaking. It is just, there's something about the narrative structure of the film where the film is being narrated by the little kid, this baby, Little Amelie, who has in the kid's kind of narration and through some of the actions kind of early in the film, where the baby clearly has a bigger understanding of what kind of is happening to this earth where they are, this moment, but then they are a baby, and so it's like they can't quite express what they're thinking, what they're feeling, but they kind of are, they have this big vision of who they are and what their role is in the story. And then as the film kind of goes on, learning to love their family and kind of learning to accept kind of the situation that they're in, and kind of just changing the viewpoint. It's something that is very touching, but it's funny, and it's just kind of beautiful. This is the one for me of all the films we talk about how the animation looks in all these films. This is by far, I think, the most beautiful in terms of its animation. It looks just amazing. I was watching the film just kind of breath taken away as I'm watching it, thinking this is just, I'm having such a great time watching this film. It's such a very kind of perfect, almost perfect film. It is so touching, and there are so many moments of kind of emotion, the story it goes through, especially toward the end. Some characters make some decisions and kind of come in and out of the story, and it's very emotional, kind of the moments that they go through. There's a couple characters, especially one relationship in the film, that is very kind of rocky at the beginning, and it has a moment where the relationship kind of turns around and kind of, the film didn't quite move me to tears, but I definitely got a little choked up and was a little emotional during those moments because of the way that this film is animated. The voice cast is phenomenal in this. Little Amelie is the film in here that I guess between this and Argo are definitely the two that are the least seen in the category. If you only have time between now and Sunday to watch one film, definitely watch Little Amelie. It's not going to win. I don't think it's got a great chance necessarily at winning, but it's by far my favorite in the category. I absolutely love it. For my personal rank, I'm putting Little Amelie, or the character of Rain, in first, and for my prediction, I'm putting it in third.
And Zootopia 2.
Directed by Jared Bush and Byron Howard. Produced by Yvette Marino. This is Jared Bush and Yvette Marino's second Oscar nominations. They won together for Best Animated Feature in 2022 for Encanto. This is Byron Howard's fourth Oscar nomination. He won for Best Animated Feature in 2022 for Encanto, and in 2017 for Zootopia. He was also nominated in 2009 for Bolt. Zootopia 2 was nominated for Best Children's and Family Film at the BAFTAs, and for Best Animated Feature at the BAFTAs, the Critics' Choice Awards, and the Golden Globe Awards. Now, I know that the original Zootopia has a lot of fans. A lot of people really, really love it. I didn't see Zootopia until I guess it's been a couple years now since I saw it for the first time. There was kind of randomly a week a couple years ago where I just kind of got in this kick where I was like, let me go watch all of those classic, like the newer classic Disney movies. This Moana, Inside Out. Uh, I'm drawing a blank on Coco. Like some of the films that I was like, they were great. I heard amazing things about them, but I didn't see them because at that time in my life I wasn't going to the movies by myself. And even now when I go to movies by myself, sometimes the kids' movies aren't always the film that I'm the most eager to go to a film by myself. But back then I definitely just I was not seeing any of these films, and so I kind of like had a week where I was like, let me throw on Disney Plus and let me just watch a whole bunch of these films. So I watched the first Zootopia, and I thought it was fine. I wasn't blown away or anything. I wasn't completely, caught up in the story, but I thought it was a fine enough story. I do think Zootopia 2 is better, not slightly. I think I have them like at the exact same rating on Letterboxd. But I do think I prefer the sequel, which I don't know necessarily if that's a hot take or not, because my buddy, when after we saw it, we were talking and we both kind of were like, yeah, I think we both were of the opinion that it was better than the original, but we also were of the opinion of we know that might be a hot take. So I don't know where the consensus kind of is on which is better, the original or Zootopia 2. But I think I had more fun with this story. The characters, some of the characters, some of the journeys that they go through, I think are kind of fascinating. The film is obviously beautiful as always. The cast of characters I think got a whole lot wider. The first film there's a lot of characters, but maybe a lot of people that kind of have a scene or here or there. This film it feels like, and again I haven't rewatched the original Zootopia in a while, so maybe I'm misremembering, but I feel like this one has a bigger cast of characters in terms of people kind of popping in and out for longer extended periods of time. They play more pivotal roles in the story. It's just a whole lot of fun, and it also has a couple moments in the film that were like very emotional, like to me, where there's like one scene in particular where I was like, I don't even necessarily care for the original too much or our main characters, their relationship, but in this film, in this moment, this relationship like feels like they're healing some of the wounds that they had in the relationship, and it just was a very kind of touching and beautiful beautiful moment of the film. I will say also that the film has a lot of really kind of cool things where it has a couple homages, one to Silence of the Lambs and one to The Shining that I wish was like a little more drawn out, but like when you hear the score of The Shining kind of kick in, like some of the references in this film are a lot of fun. Zootopia 2 is one for me that again I had fun with it. It's maybe not like the best film in the category, and this is why I think is essentially you're seeing K-pop Demon Hunters kind of run away, because I think if Zootopia 2 was a little bit better, more like of an instant classic Disney film, I think it could have really run away with the category. But ultimately I think it's a serviceable and a fun film, and it kind of is slotting in where it slots in, kind of right behind K-pop Demon Hunters in terms of the race of who's going to win the Oscar. For my personal rank, I'm putting Zootopia 2 in third, and for my prediction, I'm putting it in second. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know down below in the comments how you would rank these films. What film are you rooting for? Let me know if you've seen Little Amelie, if you love it as much as I do. Let me know all of that down below in the comments. And if you'd like to like the video and then subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future episodes in my category breakdown series or any of the other series that I have going on my channel, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.